Hey, it's Cody. This is my VR to the brand new and already causing problems hashtag occult tea, like occult TEA. Now this is by Joanna of the Polish Folk Witch, Ella Harrison, and the Red-Headed Witch. Now, I do know that Joanna's Instagram and her YouTube names are both the Polish Folk Witch. I'm not actually sure on the other two. I only know their Instagram names. But I will look up the YouTube channel names of the other two people who created this. So basically what this is it's a list of sort of questions. It's just kind of talking about social media's influence on the witchcraft community. Um, and I think it's I don't not want to necessarily say overdue. Um, I mean it is, but I feel like it's really had like a sudden surge in severity. The last few months, maybe even more so than like years. I mean, okay. So you might wonder how, when this tag dropped less than 24 hours ago, do I already have a video out? And the reason is actually because I was working on taking notes to make a video about something that was actually, it's this adjacent. Okay, it was really going to be more about like aestheticization, right? I don't know if that's a word, of like witchcraft on social media versus how like an actual sustainable practice might look in real life, if that makes sense. It was going to be like portrayal versus practice and stuff like that. Don't take my fucking phrase. I'm still going to make that video, but I did sort of cannibalize it because I felt like probably half the things I was already going to be talking about in there are being addressed in these like questions from this occult tea tag. So that other video it's another time, okay? Because I did want to talk about this. I think that just reading the questions for this occult tea tag started making me think about like the tectonic plates shifting beneath some of this the stuff that I was going to talk about in the portrayal versus practice video. So, okay. All right. So, all that shit without further ado. This is broken down into 4 different sort of sections of questions, and I do actually have a 5th one that I'm going to add because I am kind of an asshole. Okay. So, the first part is just, it's basically introducing myself. Okay. I think I've talked several times on this channel, on my Instagram page. Like, really, I'm an Instagram person. Like, I made the YouTube page, but like really I feel like this is an offshoot of the Instagram. This is not like my home base thing. Okay. So, I originally made an Instagram account in 2013. And I'm not going to tell anybody what it is, but I ultimately was making fun of the yoga community. So, then in 2015, I actually set up my Tarot Readings from a Bitch Instagram account because I had started posting some tarot related things on the other account. And I kind of felt like maybe I should separate the two. Because when it was just a yoga account, my DMs were full of people asking for feed pics, and then as soon as I started adding like tarot stuff, then I also had people telling me I was going to hell. So I was like, at least I could separate these two things. So like my first post was like a photo of just one card, and it's something about leaving a situation. I don't even remember exactly what it was. It was basically like a smartass reading, or like maybe what someone would want to tell someone if you're giving someone a reading and you got that card. Like, it was more like an internal monologue thinking about it rather than maybe what you would actually tell a client. So I actually started doing witchcraft of any kind in 1998. I think I got my hands on my first tarot deck in probably 2000. Yeah. It was not my own deck. It was somebody else's deck, that someone's mom's deck that I was using. I was in middle school, okay? Yeah, that. So that's kind of where I'm coming from with this. I have been kind of a long time critic of witchcraft and tarot in just sort of spiritual sort of spaces, just because I feel like there's just so much bullshit constantly going on. I will say that I do try not to make it be like a hot take, right? A hot take being like fucking, what is it? A purposefully incendiary piece of fucking material that's poorly researched or like meant to incite like fucking fury in the people reading it, okay? Like I think that my criticisms are legitimate, okay? You can get mad. I don't care. That's fine. All right. So like this video and these talking about these topics are not new to me. But I think it might be kind of newer to a lot of people who are newer to witchcraft. Hearing people bitch about some of this stuff. All right. Okay, so I'm not using all of the questions that were in the occult tea tag, by the way. Okay, so one of the questions is, why do I share content online? And I thought that was a really interesting question to start out with, and I liked this, okay? So the next one then was, are you there to educate, learn, or connect? So I feel like those are kind of the same things. And I would definitely say that I am here to connect. I don't really ascribe to the here's a teacher up here and all the little students underneath, right? Like I don't respect those positions. And so I would never try and put myself in a position like that, like, oh, here, you poor, stupid children, allow me to assist you. Like, if I'm sharing something that I do, I'm reaching across. I'm connecting and being like, here's how I do this, or like, how do you do this? Or, you know what I mean? So the educating thing, no. The learning thing, also not so much. I think that the internet, well, not the internet necessarily as a whole, but social media as a whole, I'm not picking on any specific platform here, is just full of bullshit. So no, I did not come here to learn. Okay. This one, I cannot believe somebody typed this fucking question. This is the rudest question I've ever been asked, and it is, quote, is consuming witchcraft content becoming a substitute for witchcraft practice? Fuck off. Okay. Now, here is our next, like, topic questions. Is talking about influencer activity. So, the first thing is talking about staged content for social media. So, here's the thing. I personally would count probably about, to be fair, probably 50% of my shit is staged. Now, that being said, it depends sort of on what your definition of a staged photo is, okay? Like, behind me right now, like, this is actually, this is my legitimate altar. I don't know if you can see it, if I'm in the way of it, okay? Like, this is actually it right here. I know that there are some people who really go crazy, like, setting up these whole fake displays and things, okay? My staging might be, if I took a photo of my altar, I might maybe move some of the objects on it closer to each other so that when I take a photo, it can be seen, okay? Or sometimes I might think of something that I want to say about a card because I'm like that. And if I just think of something funny that I think is funny that I want to say about, like, the fucking Page of Cups, then I dig a Page of Cups out of a deck and fucking put cute shit around it and take a picture, and then I type whatever it was I was thinking of. Like, I'm not sure how much we want to say that that's staging. I mean, that is staged, yeah. So sorry, it's a fucking trash truck if you can hear that. For the most part, my photos and things are quite, they're legit. I'm not sure that rearranging something to look a little bit better is necessarily staged. But that's up to you. I mean, I can't think of a single picture that I've taken for social media or even outside of it that I didn't, like, do something for. You know what I mean? Like, if I'm taking a picture of my daughter in her wrestling outfit to send to somebody, I'm gonna have her stand in front of, like, a curtain or, like, fucking the bookshelves or something. Just, I don't, you know, I guess that's staged, but, like, I'm not going to necessarily say that being staged is such a negative thing. But what I do want to talk about is something that I'm saving for the end. Wow, I almost got ahead of myself there. Okay. The next thing was talking about censorship online. Now I will say I'm not exactly positive what this question was referring to. I'm not sure that I've run into any sort of censorship when it comes to online witchcraft spaces. I don't censor the things that I say. I just say them, or sharing what I do. I know that some people are like, well, you know, I work with spirits or deities or things that like don't want me to show this stuff. Nothing that I've ever worked with has acted like keep me a secret. Like, the only reasons a lot of times, like, I'm not that forthcoming with my actual witchcraft practice, just because so much of it is actually spirit work with like just small spirits that I personally have like cultivated relationships with. It's just not useful. It's not beneficial to anyone for me to share that. So yeah, I don't know. All right. The next question is about grifters in the witchcraft online community. Now, this is really funny because I just the other day, like, most of the things, the rants that you hear on here, my husband has heard like the first draft of. Okay, and he just had to listen to a whole bunch of shit about fucking grifters in the witchcraft community. There are 100% grifters in this fucking community. Like, it, and the more like trendy witchcraft is, like the more successful witchcrafty and tarot pages are, the more of this shit we're gonna keep seeing. So I wanted to say about this that I think there are two different kinds of grifters. The easy ones to pick out are the ones that will fucking call you Grand Rising or whatever the fuck they're doing in the fucking DMs or in comment section. They'll be like, get your ex back in as little as 3 days. And that kind of shit. Okay, that's the easy stuff. But there's a more insidious kind of grifter. Okay. These are the ones that will show up and take the time to sort of weave themselves into the community, right? They might, they'll sort of make friends with people. They'll be commenting on other stuff. They've done their research for this, okay? And then they'll bust out courses, which we'll talk about more later. They'll bust out courses or some class or a fucking retreat or some bullshit like that. And a lot of these people, it's easy to tell. My number one red flag in this shit is their witchcraft practice stays pretty close to Christian or Catholic sorts of things, right? Now, I'm not saying it's all of them at all. But to me, I have noticed repeatedly people who will be like, oh, I'm an occultist, and, oh, but I work with, archangels, and things like that. They will roll out some sort of course, and eventually they'll be like, just kidding, Christ is king, fuck all of you, okay? There was, oh my god, what was that guy's name? I didn't even know who the fuck he was until it's Tarot Exegete or some shit. It's a classic example of this. Exegete being in the name, people should have been like, Okay, he does his shit, he fucking yoinks his little stuff once his courses aren't selling as well as he wanted or some shit, packs his shit and leaves, okay? This happens repeatedly. I've seen this happen with smaller accounts over and over. And it's so funny. They literally just come to make money and leave. And the problem is that they take the time to gain the trust of people before they pull this. Fucking Doreen Virtue, right? Who was the bitch that made all the fucking angel decks? See, she was doing the angel decks, wasn't it Virtue? Yeah. It was all still like Christian connected with guardian angel shit. And then nope, Valentine. Oh my god, Doreen Virtue. I'm sorry. It is Doreen Valentine, right? And her son Radley Valentine. Okay. You know the bitch I'm talking about, okay? Doreen's fucking something that starts with a V. It was Christian connected the entire time. She decided to fucking, she made how much money off of these people, and then fucked off back to Christianity from whence she came. That's common. That's a theme. I don't know. I don't like it. Now, I'm not saying I don't think that there are legitimate, like, witchcraft practitioners that would work with, like, Catholic saints or something. I mean, do you, alright? I don't want any part of that shit, but go for it. But there's a way that it's done, and I don't know how to explain it to you, okay? The vibes are off, and you've got to start reading them. Also, another good way to tell, pay attention to this. If a witchy sort of account shows up, but it's already got 100,000 followers, but only like 9 posts, that page is one of fucking two things. They're buying fucking followers, or they were a page about something else before, and they just deleted all their shit, changed their name, changed their bio, and started slapping up the witchcraft stuff. Which flows into a conversation about follower count and legitimacy as a witchcraft practitioner or an expert, which is a thing we're gonna fucking talk about later. But, yeah. 2 kinds of grifters. There are ones that will ingratiate themselves to the people in a community, and then there are the ones that are just, like, really barely trying. Okay? Pay attention. Oh, shit, wait a minute. No! That is the next question. Perfect. Okay. I don't read my notes. Was talking about, does follower count, really influence how much someone knows about what they're talking about? And I think that witchcraft and, like, social media skill are fucking circles that don't touch, okay? Knowing how to, take eye-catching photos, or, the videos, or playing the tagging game, or feeding into algorithm shit. Like, that's a whole different world than practicing witchcraft. And a lot of the fucking big-ass accounts don't know shit about shit. I don't know why they're just out here posting. Okay, I have to mention this. I saved this post so I can make fun of it later, but I think it got deleted. I don't remember who it was that fucking posted this, but somebody on Instagram posted a little graphic and a caption talking about how they were ghost content creator for, like, a big TikTok tarot page. Okay. The focus of this was not that there were ghost content creators for these fucking pages, because but it was really talking about ridiculous fucking someone wanting like 100 videos for $5 or some shit like that. And everyone in the comments, nobody else was mentioning the fact that this person was a ghost content creator for a large tarot TikTok account. What? Nobody batted an eye. What the fuck is going on? Like, what? That is the fakest shit. And the fact that nobody saw a problem with it was fucking insane. Didn't the guy that wrote the Maze Runner series get in trouble for having ghostwriters? Like, what the fuck? What are we doing? Okay? This is whoever is running that account, and fucking, I'm sure it's monetized because they're willing to, like, pay ghost creators for this shit. They don't know shit about shit. And just, yeah. There's spheres that don't fucking touch, okay? There are so many smaller social media accounts of people that legitimately know what they're talking about. Do not be fooled by these 138k follower accounts or more. I don't know. I'm not on TikTok. Don't fall for the numbers, okay? That does not make them legit. All right. Now, we are okay. I don't know how to really introduce this one. This was talking about imposter syndrome and FOMO. FOMO is fear of missing out. Okay. To start off, I am not a person that is very much affected by what people around me are doing. I don't think this is something that I've, like, developed. I was just kind of born on this setting. Like, I don't look for external validation. My own validation is the only thing I give a fuck about. So this has been to my detriment repeatedly, but it does benefit me in this way, in that I really don't get imposter syndrome. Who was it, Plato or something, that fucking said The only thing that he knows is he doesn't know anything. Like, I know for a fact I don't know shit about shit. That's fine. Like, I think it's even funnier then to see other people who really just think they know a lot of shit about shit, because what are you doing? Okay, so one of the questions was, is it inspiring to see other people's witchcraft practices on social media? Or do you find it, like, does it give you FOMO? Does it, like, give you, like, feelings of inadequacy? I don't know if people are going to hate this, because I feel like this is actually the opposite of, like, why this whole tag was created, but I am not in any way negatively affected by this shit. Like, I am inspired by some of the things that I see. Like, I will see somebody's cute-ass altar sitting there, and I'd be like, damn, that's a nice fucking altar. And then I fucking scroll on. And when I'm done scrolling and looking at the shit, I just put my phone down and I do something else. Like, okay, I have to say though, this I think is an important piece of this, is that I had a solid witchcraft practice before social media was like a thing. And so it hasn't really been me learning how to do these things from social media, right? Like, however somebody else is doing it, I am nosy and I like to see what other people are doing. Like, that I think is really the main thing, is that I'm fucking nosy and I like seeing what other people are doing. That doesn't mean that, like, I feel like I don't connect that in any way to my own practice or self-worth. Like, I know what my practice looks like. And I think, okay, I asked myself while I was doing this, why I'm even worried about this, when I think, for the most part, this shit doesn't even affect me. And here's the thing. I am always very aware of being one, like, atom in a huge-ass fucking line, okay? I want new witches, people who are, like, legitimately going to be lifetime practitioners of witchcraft. But we're gonna lose 90% of these people in, like, 2 years when the witchcraft stops being cool and trendy, okay? Like, let's be realistic. Let's zoom out. Instead of shitting our pants over this, they will go away, okay? They really will. They always do. So, I don't want people that are new to this being confused about what it is and isn't. And I feel like the way that it's being portrayed a lot on social media is a lot less what it's actually about. I don't know if that makes any sense. So why I care about this is because I care about people trying to get into this. Okay, that's why I give a shit. And that's why, I forgot what I was originally talking about. Oh, that's why I'm even talking about this to begin with. Because I think that this is negatively impacting people that would be, you know, just, I don't know what I'm trying to say. Okay, next question. The next one is, okay, do I compare my practice to what I see other people doing online? I already said no, I don't. But I do know that there are a lot of people that do. Now, I have to, this is going to be a long video, so I hope you, like, have a drink or something. When, I think it was probably 2008 or 2009, little personal story for you, I had recently just set up, a Facebook page, and, I think that it might have been a new feature or something, that there were, like, groups. So instead of just being friends with, like, your friends, your coworkers, your family members, people you personally know, the group thing started. And there was a group. I think it still exists, and I don't want to mention the fucking name of it, but fuck that group, okay? I went in there, and there was, like, the lady that ran it, and then she had a couple other, like, people that were, like, her little fucking Scar and his hyenas, okay? And the whole page, rather than being, like, informative about witchcraft or literally anything, pretty much the whole thing was just making fun of newer witches. I mean, it hated Wicca, it hated, you know, New Age kind of shit, which, like, I will say at this point in my life, I get it. But also, it just tearing everybody to fucking shreds. Everything was a meme about a fluffy bunny. And anytime anyone commented anything, they could even be agreeing on it. The fucking page creator or fucking whatever the fuck they're called, and her two little friends would be in there fucking tearing everybody apart, that they didn't know what they were talking about. They're like, I was terrified. I followed the page because I thought it was the only one or something. At that point, it may have been. But it was, I never commented. I never liked anything. I would never post anything. Like, it was a very unwelcoming sort of atmosphere. Like, I spent time being like, am I not reading the right books? Because, like, it was never like, this is the correct way to do this, or this is how, you know, we do this, or something like that. It was just, you're wrong for doing this thing like this. And while it was never particularly directed at me, I saw it happening to so many other people. I started questioning myself, being like, am I just totally fucking off base here? The answer was no. She was just a crusty old bitch who didn't like, I guess, people under 50 practicing fucking witchcraft. Okay, alright. The problem was not me, or really any of the other people in that group. So I would say I did have a time where I was more comparing my practice or worrying about what other people were saying about it. Yeah. Okay. Here is... Wait. I don't remember what the question was because I only wrote down my answer because I'm shit at taking notes. I have... It's talking about influencers, and the question must have been something about, does, like, reviews or, like, unboxings or flip-throughs or things make me want to buy decks or books or, you know, whatever witchcraft-related, like, items. Here's my thing. For me, personally, no. I dislike most things that I see. The best way for me to get over wanting a deck is I watch a fucking flip-through. I'm over it. Like... These things, influencers de-influence me. Like, if I see it, or if the person presenting it's fucking annoying, I'm automatically like, I'm not gonna have that. Like, I don't know how to cultivate that. Like, I'm just like that. So for me personally, no. But I do know that a lot of people struggle with that. You know, seeing things and automatically feeling like if they don't have it, they're missing out. Or just wanting something because they saw somebody that had it. Or, you know, I just... That's not really a thing that gets to me. But I do think that it's a problem within the witchcraft community. And, like... Yeah, okay. Alright, now, this is another one that I think is going to go against what this whole thing is trying to say. It says, what would my practice look like without the influence of social media? I'm gonna say, I actually think that my practice is better for being in, like, witchcraft sort of spaces online. I really do. It's brought things to my attention that I didn't even know existed. I've made friends with people, like, who do similar things. In my life, I knew one girl's mom who also did witchcraft and tarot, like, and that was it. I had not met other people. Like, I didn't have anyone around me. I mean, at the time, the early 2000s, this was not what it is now. Like, it just wasn't. People were not into this, or if you mentioned that you were into it, they were automatically like, ugh. Like, it was not a thing that you really mentioned to people unless you already, like... If you're talking to, you know, a lady that works at, like, a metaphysical shop that used to be really fucking hard to find and come by and shit, right? Like, then maybe. But, like, just out in life, you're not gonna know people that were like that. So I think that I have found... What is my next question? Yep. Community here. Now, the next set of questions... Oh my god. Also... The next set of questions is talking about capitalizing off community. Now we're going to start out, the first question under this one is talking about online versus in-person community. Like, do I think that they're equal? And the first thing I'm going to say is no, I don't. Like, I don't think having people in person is just a different thing than having online community. I'm not saying that online community is bad, but I am saying I don't think that it's equivalent to in-person community. The reason I say this, okay, I took so many notes and I didn't, like, bullet point them, so it's just like this whole fucking wall of shit. God, I hate when I do this to myself. Okay. The first thing I want to say is I think community is a strange word for like an online group of people who are into similar things. I don't mean that like specifically the people who created this tag picked it incorrectly. I think just overall in general using the word community for it's weird. But okay, here's an example of in-person community. And the way that it functions, I think, differently than an online community. First of all, community can't be that big. Like, community kind of requires you to be able to network with a lot of people. Okay, I grew up in a city that was kind of a larger city in the US. And then I moved about 30 minutes south of that to a small town. Now I hate this place so fucking bad. Like, words cannot even describe it. I'm counting down days until I will be moving back east, where I fucking came from, taking husband and kids with me. I cannot fucking take this place. But I will say, this living here has made me understand community in a way that I did not before. Okay. The entirety of everyone posting witchcraft shit on the internet, those people are not my community. People who are specifically only posting tarot shit online, those are again not my community. My community is a smaller subsect of that, okay? I live in the US. All these people are not my fucking community. I live in the state of Colorado. All these motherfuckers are not my fucking community, okay? In real life, even I live in this small fucking town with a couple thousand people, all of these motherfuckers still are not my community. Surprisingly, the community that I think that has impressed me is the moms in this community. If I had to pick somebody, okay, I just used the word community in a way I just said I hated, in this fucking city, okay? If I were to pick a community within this fucking city, okay, it's gonna be the fucking moms of this area. They are networked in a way. They are all metaphorically holding hands. They are the threads, the weave of a trampoline, okay, that stretches and flexes when one thing comes down on it so that the entire thing doesn't break. I don't know how to explain that. I don't necessarily have an example. And I did try to think of one, and some of them are just really things that are fucking horrific, and I don't even want to, like, mention on the internet. Let's just say that this city, everybody's mom is a fucking meth head, has been doing the shit while they were pregnant with their kids, have been doing it fucking since. If these kids even have a grandparent that can take care of them, they're fucking lucky. Okay? And the amount of covering that some of these bitches do is fucking crazy. All right. And I have benefited from this. I have given into this. And community, to me, means something different, I think, now than it used to, having seen this. And so, that for that reason, I would say tarot or witchcraft communities online are not even, like, on the same level. I'm not saying that you can't have good friends. Online friends are real fucking friends, okay? They lead to real things. But I will say it's not actually community. Like, it isn't. So people are probably gonna be mad that I said that. I don't care. That's fine. Because again, I don't care. I'm not on here to make friends. Okay. What are the dangers of the current phenomenon of capitalizing off the witchcraft community? I think that ultimately it leads people to... Okay, first of all, get out of the way. People are just gonna waste fucking money, right? You're gonna lose money. You're gonna fucking spend money on shit that you didn't fucking need. To me, even more importantly, is I think it's misdirecting people who are actually trying to find the closest thing to community that, like, the online sort of spaces have. It's confusing them as to what witchcraft is. It's confusing them as to, like, practices that should and shouldn't be done. Okay, here's the thing. I don't know that, like, grifters are always purposefully grifting, okay? Sometimes I think a 20-year-old will hop on the internet and fucking they've already been doing this thing for fucking 6 months and see like the level that other people around them are doing it at, and they'll be like, yeah, I'm every bit that good. And then they will automatically be like, you know what? I'm an expert in this. And I think it's a thing that internet people are sort of like promoting in each other. Wow, I just forgot what the question was. Oh. And I don't know if they're necessarily trying to just like steal your money. I think that some of them legitimately think, wow, I've said legitimate so many times this video, legitimately think that they are being helpful. Which is weird. That I think is an even weirder phenomenon than like some of the other stuff going on here. Yeah. Okay. We're almost to the part that I'm really excited about. Oh wait. Okay. The question was, should there be paywalled communities and online courses? Okay. Both yes and no. Okay. Here I contain multitudes, okay? And I'm conflicted on this portion because while I think that people like, okay, I'm going to pick on Patreon pages, okay? Because I want this to feel small enough that it's something people have within reach. If I talk about retreats, yeah, fuck that, right? There's fucking $600 tarot courses. That's not even a thing most people would consider. A Patreon, right? Usually under $10, well, $10 US or so a month, you can have access to this content. While I do think that the people creating this content deserve financial compensation, there is also the problem of inaccessibility, right? So the instant something moves from being free online, in social media, to all of a sudden you're having to pay fucking $8 a month to have access to. For a lot of people, that is just now content they just don't have access to. Now I wanted to talk, hold on. I want to talk a little bit about the way Instagram has changed. Even, I don't actually know what year it started becoming like a larger social media thing. Like, I think I was late to that party, honestly. But my tarot page in 2015 that I started, when I came there were almost classes, course type of things that were literally just free. Okay, these were not Patreon closed Discord groups. Okay, it would be like a monthly challenge, they would call it sometimes, or I don't remember some of the other words, but it was literally just fucking free. It was right there in the fucking open. If you wanted to participate, you just started doing it. Like, you know, it would be looking at tarot through a certain lens, or even just shit about court cards, or there was one about songs as the major arcana. And it would literally just be one person would be running a shit each day. They would post their, okay, for the Fool, I thought this song. For the Magician, I thought, like, no. Okay, one day would be like one card. And then fucking 40 other people that were also doing this would post that on theirs. And the discussion happened in the comments underneath these posts. And I think that's really what made it feel like a community, in a way that it doesn't anymore. Because a lot of these things, learning about this or that or whatever, have migrated to being behind paywalls. So, like, I don't want to pick on anyone specifically, but there are actually things that used to be free sitting there on the internet that you'd have to pay money for. Like, literally, yeah. Okay. The reason that I'm worried about accessibility is because there are people who literally use every penny for stuff. Like, you might be like, eh, it's $5, but like $5 is fucking, that is a lot to some people. There are people living on fucking disability alone who are fucking, can barely even afford ramen for themselves. Like, these people have now been shut out. Like, a paywall is a wall that keeps people out. Even like minors, kids, right? A teenager, maybe they're in a fucking Christian household. It doesn't let them do something like that. And where they had been able to, you know, follow their specific creators on Instagram and be getting information from them, all of a sudden it switches over to Patreon. They don't have a credit card so they can put in. Like, now that content has been blocked from them. So I flip-flop on this, because making content for Patreon, like even classes or things in that way, like that is, that's fucking time consuming, right? That is taking time and just people's like mental fucking resources to create this stuff for other people. So while I definitely see wanting to be paid for this stuff, I can also see the harm that it does for people who have lost access to it. Does that make sense? I'm of two minds. I'm the fucking two of swords sitting over here. I'm not sure that one side's ever gonna win over the other side. I mean, if we're talking about community, I kind of feel like a community would do something for somebody that couldn't necessarily do this same thing back for them, right? So maybe some part of me is like, I think paywalls are actually worse for the community than not. I don't know, guys. I don't know. This question is too hard, and this is one that I fight with myself constantly. I just sit there, and somebody thinks I'm like watching a YouTube video, but it's just playing while I'm worrying about this. Okay, here is, what do my fucking second page of notes say here? And this is not going to be that much longer, though. Okay. Okay, for witchcraft to endure, it has to be able to, try not to quote Karl Marx here, but like, from each according to his ability, and to each according to his need. You guys, aren't you better than this? Okay, no. The only thing, though, I will say, the only thing that I am conflicted on is Patreon pages, okay? I struggle, because I know I have been in the place where $5 a month to access to my favorite, like, Instagram witchy creator would be fucking too much, okay? Now, I am not in that situation right now, and I am lucky that I have the ability to pay. I pay for multiple Patreon pages every month, and I will say that there are some that are more worth it than others. There are a couple that I've been following for a couple years now, and like, I am getting well over my money's worth for. But I also think about like how people do not have access to that. Alright, but alright. No. Let me finish with the Patreon thing first. I'm sorry. I feel like a large part of like witchcraft communities now, okay? In life now. I'm not talking about fucking 1500s when fucking people were being burned at the stake, okay? I'm talking about now. As very much has the requirement of inclusion. And accessibility is necessary for inclusion. So, with that being said, let's talk about fucking courses. I've already talked shit about fucking, like, courses online, okay? I think I talked about it in an anti-bucket list or something video about, like, things I'm never going to do or I don't want to do as a tarot reader, and it's fucking ever take anybody's fucking online course. Now, okay. Here is my issue. Everybody is offering a fucking online course right now. And it's witchcraft all over the place, but as I sort of tend to focus in my like online activities more on tarot stuff, do you know how many fucking tarot courses are out there? Like it, and they're like just, it's pre-recorded videos. Like most of these people are just regurgitating what they have read in fucking Tarot 101 books or shit that you can literally find for free online. If you want to be able to like talk to people in a community sort of way with this, like you can do it on like Instagram. Like you can actually do it there for free. Okay? That shit. Oh wait. The question I think ultimately here was talking about qualifications of people who are giving these courses. Like what is their experience? Like who are these people to be teaching you this stuff? And I think more often than not, the answer is fucking nobody. Okay? Don't get mad if you have a fucking tarot course. Maybe you should think about what I'm saying. Because I'm going to tell you, we do not need 12,000 fucking tarot courses. Because they're all saying the same thing. Because the cards mean what the cards mean. The cards mean what the cards mean. You can buy a book for $20 instead of a fucking course for $200. Okay? There's no need. I bet you I could get on fucking, as soon as I'm done recording this video, I'm gonna get on fucking YouTube. I'm gonna look up what every single one of the 78 cards means. I bet you I will find a free fucking video for every single one of those. Stop taking tarot courses and they'll stop fucking happening, okay? You have to. You have to cut the fucking power supply to this shit because 5 years is not enough time for somebody to really fucking know enough to be teaching witchcraft. Like, it just isn't. There are too many little fucking tributaries coming off the main fucking river of the shit. There is too much going on. People who have spent lifetimes dedicated to studying these things. And we've got like 25-year-olds being like, I'm an expert. And you're going to pay me $600 for this course. And people are buying it, okay? We'll talk about that more in a minute. Okay. I do not put myself in a teaching position because I think that this should always be a learning in witchcraft fucking spaces should always be a reaching across rather than teaching down, if that makes any fucking sense. Like, I don't know, maybe my direction thing is not making sense to anyone but me. Okay. I have a hard time with people who are like, oh, I only read for myself. Here, take my class. Not because I don't think it's legitimate, there's that word again, to only read for yourself, but I think a large portion of people do want to read for other people. And if a person has not done that, that is a whole fucking experience in itself, okay? You're sitting there, you're doing fucking in-person readings, all right? You're at some sort of fucking fair or fucking event, and you're sitting there at a fucking table. And fucking there's a lady sitting there and she's crying because you have just given her a message from her dead fucking relative. But you know what? There's a guy behind her. So you hand her some fucking tissues and get her ass out of there. The next guy just had a fucking successful date last night and he wants to know what's a reasonable fucking time frame, according to the cards, to ask her to suck his dick. You know what? Fuck it. That's fine. I draw a fucking card. Next. The next guy wants to fucking sue his boss over something. Like, the way that you have to be able to compartmentalize, the way that you have to be able to remove bias from things, the way that you have to, like, you gotta be quick. Like, you have to know this shit in a way that it is not the way that a person would read for themselves. Online readings are fucking batshit, okay? I did a reading with this lady, and the next day after I sent it to her, she sent me a message telling me that she thought I had read a card wrong because I didn't tell her what she wanted. Bitch, get out right now. Get out of my fucking DMs. It is wild, okay? These are things like, it just takes life experience, okay? I have been regularly reading for fucking almost 20 years. Like, I've done them in person, I've done them for free, I've done them paid, I've done it, like, these, I want people teaching me who have been in all of these places. I want people teaching tarot to other people to be people who have been in these places. Does that make sense? Like, experience is not just reading books and making notes about it. It just isn't. It's the actual doing of the thing. All right? We're coming back to the question I was fucking offended at before because it's a little bit true. Where was it? Is consuming witchcraft content becoming a substitute for witchcraft practice? These things cannot just be learned in a book. They have to be done. And if all you have done is read these things in a book, theoretically, hypothetically, shit like that, you gotta be adding something new to the conversation, and you also have to even be aware of how big of a conversation this shit can be. Does that make sense? Okay, this is the part that I wanted to talk about a lot because this shit was pissing me. Okay. Here's my last thing. We are approaching literally an hour of me sitting here. Okay. I did not watch all of the three like creators of this occult tea tags videos. I watched most of Joanna's. I will say she was being more generous than I'm going to be. Okay. She was saying that these are, predatory practices being done by, like, social media companies, okay? And while that is true, I think that consumers of social media also have fucking responsibilities, okay? Smarten up. Smarten up. Look for fucking grifting. Pay attention. If you're about to drop hundreds of dollars on a fucking class from somebody who just did a fucking get to know me and they've only known witchcraft fucking existed for 2 fucking years, like, I have tarot readings that I can still consider in effect longer than some of these people wanting money for classes have even known tarot existed. Like, okay. When you were a child and you were watching, like, okay, when I was a kid and Power Rangers was really a really big thing, there's a whole thing on the fucking news about how kids couldn't tell that the violence was fake, so they were, like, actually fighting each other because of Power Rangers. Just like saying fucking video games make people be violent, or that fucking bullshit. I feel like some of that is bleeding over into this. People on fucking, if you're watching a TikTok, understand that for the most part, you are watching a filming in a set, okay? This is an area that has been designated for this little fucking video. It's been decorated that way, okay? And they want you to believe, just like when you're watching fucking TV, that this is a real room or a real house or a real castle or whatever, when it's really just 2 fucking walls, okay? Like, it's just, this shit's fake. It's fake. It's for fun. Like, you can't take it that seriously as to start letting you feel like what you're doing isn't real because someone has made it look like they live in, like, an actual witch cottage on the fucking edge of a goddamn Scottish forest, and every day this bitch fucking dresses up in a whole fucking dress and goes on a picnic all by herself. Like, that's fake. It's fake. It's okay to enjoy consuming that content because it's cute or it's nice to, like, imagine a life like that, but it's not real. It's not real. You have to know that this shit's not fucking real, right? We've had conversations about fucking Facetune. We've had conversations about Photoshop. We've had fucking conversations about fucking AI looking more and more realistic. Assume that the things you're seeing are probably not the real fucking thing. Like, it's time, all right? If you're still looking at some of the stuff and actually thinking that a lot of it's real, like, you gotta grow up. I'm sorry. Okay? I feel like I got mean toward the end of this video, but as a person being on social media and consuming the content there, you've got to keep in the back of your mind that this is not these people's real lives. It's just not. Like, you're seeing carefully curated areas, right? Like, I have certain spaces where I am willing to film a video in my fucking house. It's here, it's there, it's maybe in front of my bookshelves, in front of my, what do you call it? Fireplace that I just fucking redid and retiled and shit. My bedroom where I have a nice little shelf. Those are the spaces that I am letting you see. Okay? You know what? Actually, you want to see something? You want to see I can't believe I'm about to show you what the rest of this fucking room looks like. Oh, it's so witchy. Look at it. Okay. Watch this. Oh my god. What the fuck is all that? That's what the rest of this room looks like, you guys. It's fake. Okay? This is legitimately my altar where I do my practice, but I don't want you to think ever that my entire house looks like this, okay? I have certain spaces that look nice, that I have decorated in a way that I feel is witchy. It makes me feel good to look at, makes me feel good to be in, but that's not what my whole fucking house looks like, okay? It's just that kiln that you saw over there, that's like my husband's fucking workbench. There's extra tiles I need to take back to fucking Lowe's over there. That's what you were looking at, okay? Please. Stop believing this shit.